number one procrastination station.
It's 6 o'clock, time for Compact Disco.
Hello and welcome to this week's instalment of Raw News Insight.
Hello and welcome to Raw Sport.
Your music, your news,
Your sport,
your Raw.
Hello, welcome to the Nature Hour. I'm Luke Bantock. We haven't got our usual co-host, Arthur Danger, today, so we've got Nick Hughes, my housemate. Say hello, Nick.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. But we've got the same features, even though Arthur isn't here. So we've got an A to Z of animals coming up. We're on S. Shouldn't really forget that.
That's correct.
That is correct. Thank you, Nick. Then we've got some articles that we found on the internet, as well as mating and dating advice from the animal kingdom, before finally doing another call-in. Technically, we call them Articulate, which should be exciting. Nick, you're quite a fan of Articulate, aren't you?
I'm particularly good at reading clues.
Are you quite glad that you're not doing the guessing?
Yeah, because I'm lousy at that.
You're lousy. That's the sort of enthusiasm we like to hear. Alright, if you want to get in touch with the studio, go on the radio.warwick.ac.uk website. Obviously, you're on there already, and click on Contact the Studio. If you like anything that we're saying, if you want to give us any information, if you want to just comment, if you want to suggest any songs either, because that's always quite difficult to do, do that. Or on the Facebook page, which is The Nature Hour, go on there. Arthur, even though he's away, has still managed to, I think, put a picture and video on. So go and look at them, and then comment on anything that you might like. We've got an email already just giving us some technical advice. Thank you, Izzy, saying that Nick was a bit quiet.
Is this any better?
I've slightly changed your mic, so we should. We'll
wait
work
for
on
confirmation.
It. Yeah, we'll wait for confirmation from other listeners. So that's the show. Do you want to? Should we get started, Nick?
I'm happy with that.
Happy with that. Okay. Do you want to go first, or shall I on A to Z of animals?
You take it away.
I'll do. All right. I'll start.
Lead by example.
Yup. Someone's texting saying yup. Thanks. I don't know what that refers to, but we're grateful. So I'm doing the sloth, the mighty sloth. Nick, you think you know some Latin, don't you?
I know a tiny bit.
A tiny bit of Latin.
I got an E at GCSE.
I mean, that's better than not doing a GCSE.
I did only go to 3 lessons.
Out of?
A year.
Out of a year's worth. Okay, well, you're not going to get this then. What does folivora mean?
Something to do... eats trees?
Oh, close. Very close. Leaf eater.
Oh.
Or
yeah, foliage is leaves.
Fair enough. Vora must be eater then.
Yeah, as in carnivore.
Oh yeah, good shout. Well done. Nick's louder. Oh, I see. That's what they're referring to. Okay. So that's just a little bit. Some Ecuadorian tribes have a word for them. Their name, Rito, Rit, and Ridet, means sleep, eat, and dirty. That's the 3 names they're giving a sloth.
I would not like that if I was a sloth.
Maybe the first 2, but
I feel I was unappreciated.
If I was being classed all the 3 things that I am, I can sleep, I can eat, and I'm not clean.
Yeah. It feels like something our landlord might say about students.
Yeah. Well, that's probably true, actually, and not entirely inaccurate.
No.
All right. They eat normal stuff like buds, tender shoots, and leaves. Some of them eat insects and small reptiles and birds, although from what I'm going to tell you about a sloth, it seems unlikely that they'd be able to catch a bird.
Let alone a small reptile.
Let alone a small maybe if they accidentally ran on them.
Ran into their mouth.
Yeah.
It's like people eat spiders, but only when they're asleep.
Yeah. They're unaware that he's eaten a lizard. True. Also, which is always interesting to hear, the 2-toed sloth has recently been documented eating human feces from open latrines.
Well, I'm glad to say that that's not something you can usually say about students.
Not always, but if they're really hungry. So they're not the smartest animals in the world.
No.
Obviously, if they're going to the ground to do that. And their main food source provides very little energy or nutrition. It's like pandas have to spend their whole life eating because they eat bamboo, and bamboo's got absolutely 0 nutritional value.
And they're good for nothing else.
And they're good for nothing. What, pandas?
Yeah.
They're good at eating and looking a bit stupid, but more than that. So they have specially acting stomachs to deal with. To deal with these. The fact that they don't get any food. And so 2/3 of a well-fed sloth's body consists of the contents of its stomach.
Really?
Yeah. So they have a colossal stomach.
Oh my goodness. 2/3 of the body?
Yeah. A well-fed one, though. A hungry one, it could be different. But if it's full,
the stomach shrinks and expands.
Yeah,
in gigantic
according to how much.
proportions.
Yeah, and the digestive process can take a month to complete.
It's like having your whole torso and a bit of your legs subsumed by stomach.
Full of grass and bamboo shoots. Exactly. The other thing, sloth's fur. You know how on your legs the hair grows towards the feet?
Yes.
Sloths don't do that, and they're not unique, but I think they're one of the few. They grow towards their body because they spend their whole life hanging upside down. So if you're hanging upside down and your hair's pointing to the sky, effectively, then it's not very... It provides protection from the elements, because otherwise your hair would stand on end. So they have that. But also the fur is a small ecosystem of its own.
Fleas,
algae.
The occasional lizard, which doesn't last long.
Yeah, and then gets eaten because it died in the ecosystem that is the sloth's fur. Exactly. So they don't have... that's probably where dirty comes from, because that's also where their camouflage comes from, because they've got so much algae and green stuff in their fur that they look like trees and stuff.
That's
quite grim, isn't it?
Honest.
Exactly. But successful though, because as you'll hear, they've got massive long claws. I think they're, let's say, about 20 centimetres long. I haven't got the actual fact because I haven't done my research properly. So that's roughly how long they're going to be.
20 centimetres is a respectable length of claw.
Exactly. They're mainly claw.
Claw and stomach.
Claw and stomach. That's how it should be. So they haven't got really much natural defence apart from their claws. And apparently a cornered sloth. And the important word here is may. A cornered sloth may swipe at an attacker in an attempt to scare away or wound them, implying that sometimes it just can't be bothered.
Just sits there and
fine.
thinks, I'm a ridiculous animal. This is
what
only
do you
going
want
to go
from
one
me?
way.
But they don't, unless they're on the ground, they don't really get into that much trouble because they move so slowly. No one can see them, and they look, obviously because they're full of dirt, they look like trees and dirt as well. So they're relatively well adapted not to get hunted. They usually only die from poachers, but they also, just to sting in the tail, if you're a poacher and you find a sloth and you shoot it, you'd think, oh yeah, that'll drop out the tree now and I'll be able to eat it.
Do they
still
do rigor
cling
mortis?
They cling on for weeks, and so you might see a sloth in the rainforest if you're there hanging upside down and think, oh, he's asleep. He's not. Could be dead. But he's still there.
It's like a sort of self-stocking larder.
Yeah. But you'd never be able to be there when it fell down.
No, you'd have to really want that.
Yeah,
sloth.
you'd have to climb up there.
You'd have to really want to make haggis from that enormous stomach.
Yeah. You would. They're very slow. In a tree, they can move at 4 meters a minute.
Yeah, that's very slow.
So if that's when, if they're in immediate danger. So when they're really
fleeing.
We're really trying to get away fast, they can get away, and they're about 1 meter long, maybe slightly smaller.
As if there was once a species of giant flesh-eating slug which pursued them, and they were effectively escaping. But then that died out.
They were fleeing so fast away from that slug, and then when other stuff adapted, they suddenly realised that they're probably not well adapted for fast movement. What I find quite funny though, on the ground they can move at 2 meters a minute. 2 meters a minute.
That's
1 minute.
Essentially what would happen if I fell over and didn't move for the rest of the minute.
Well, they have to. Yeah, exactly. They have to because they're not well adapted to walking on the floor. They dig into the earth with the front claws and then just pull themselves along, dragging their colossally full stomach. They can't walk. Their back legs are so weak that they can't do anything. Their weak hind legs are no power, and the claws are a hindrance when they're on the floor. Poor chaps.
It sounds like we should. I mean, do you know if these? Do you know if sloths are endangered? Or?
Not massively. I deleted the thing about the endangered stuff because I didn't think it was very interesting, which would suggest they're not that endangered.
It sounds like we should maybe put them on a kind of preemptive list of species which might go extinct to their own volition.
Yeah, but that's like the panda where I'm starting to think, just let them go now.
Yeah,
we've done all we can.
If people like sloths as much as they like pandas, then maybe we'd make more effort with it. But
yeah, they're not. Well, sloths are quite.
Well, people look at a panda and they think, "Oh, I'd like to cuddle that." Whereas after what you've just said about a sloth,
full of dirt.
I think the general public will be avoiding them.
That's true. Plus, they only live in rainforests. I don't think. Also, they're not really fun to look at in zoos because
they don't.
What
do
they
anything.
do?
Well, to be honest, a lot of animals in zoos don't do anything.
Pandas just look funny though when they're just eating and sort of falling over.
Have you ever seen the big cats in a zoo?
That's true. They just sit there.
They just can't be bothered.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them. What is good in a zoo?
Thing is, though, the big cats, I think, must be feeling a bit miserable because they've been sort of rendered obsolete. They had a use outside, whereas a sloth, I imagine, would not really notice.
No.
So as long as it had something to hang off when it was dead, then...
or when it was alive, when it was asleep. They apparently... What other stuff have we got? Do I want to talk about this? Do we want to talk about defecation?
Well... You know, if it's mildly amusing,
it's mildly amusing.
Right,
they go to ground once a week to urinate and defecate, and always to the same spot, and they always dig a hole and cover it up because they're good citizens.
But in the same spot.
Always the same spot.
All right.
Imagine uncovering that.
They must get sort of depressed every week and then forget. It's like, not again.
They don't know why, but they do it they apparently do it on purpose. Some suggest it is so that they do it on their tree that they always hang off to give the tree back some nourishment.
From what I've heard about sloths, I don't think they're even subconsciously quite that aware of the idea of an ecosystem.
That one either. Yeah, exactly. People suggest scientists ask why would a sloth who is so ill adapted to being on the floor go and do it on the floor. They've suggested that maybe it's because they don't know. That's the reason. And sometimes they defecate when it's rainy as well, this is why they thought it was because defecating from up high would make too much noise and draw too much attention, so they'll flop to the ground and dig a weird hole as if that would bring less attention. So
I think I'd be really terrified if I saw a sloth. They
look
weird. If I saw it doing this, it sounds like some kind of ghoulish ritual.
Yeah. Also, they don't look cute like a panda does. They have a flat head, flat top of the head with big, long, freaky claws.
Yeah.
And some other strange... They've got strange eyes and the hair's really long and filthy.
I think it's because of the sort of eminent lack of reason in their behaviour. I mean, it's sort of like most animals. If you observe them, I think you can probably sort of start figuring out why they do things, which is what a lot of biologists do. But... watching a sloth, I imagine you would be so perplexed that you would think...
What's he thinking?
What? Is this a real animal?
Yeah. Is that a statue? It's got to be a statue. It hasn't moved for a week. That's because it's dead.
Philosopher's nightmare, the sloth.
Got one last bit about... They mate and give birth whilst hanging in the trees.
Oh, well, you know, tree mating has a long and honourable history, and I'll give you a gem on that later on today.
Wonderful. Animal mating and dating tips. Stay tuned for that. And after they've given birth, the three-toed sloth baby, so you can either have a three-toed or a two-toed. Small difference, I think. They're often seen clinging to their mothers and travel by hanging on to them for the first 9 months of their lives. 9 months with just a sloth hanging off you.
Do the mothers appreciate this? Do they know?
They know. I'd be honest, I don't think they're aware of it. I also like the idea that they travel by hang. There's not much travelling going on with this sloth. Sitting there, waiting.
Yeah, it's like a sort of chain link.
I'm staying here. You can sit here if you want, but we're not going to do anything.
Until they get so heavy that they can't hang on anymore.
Apart from that, they're good swimmers, which you wouldn't expect, would you? But apparently their claws are quite effective. They can stroke efficiently with their long, freaky arms.
Is this actual efficient swimming, or is this efficient relative to the 2 meters a minute?
Probably relative. They can probably move fast with the current.
Yeah.
When they're swimming against it. And they're just getting washed away by the current, but they're moving fast.
Yeah, because I mean, you sort of think a good swimmer does need some kind of muscle, I imagine.
They must have some muscle, I suppose, but they just hang, don't they? It's not like they hold themselves up.
I suppose if they're able to keep themselves afloat and appear streamlined, the current might be mistaken for a sloth swimming.
God, he's flying. How fast he's going down those rapids. And that's the sloth. There you go.
An enticing animal.
They live up to their reputation.
Yeah. Have one of the 7 deadly sins sharing their name.
Yeah, and they reflect it entirely.
Yeah.
Right then, Nick, hit me up with your S.
All right then. This week I have got the sperm whale as my
Which
animal
possibly
of
is a
choice.
cop-out, but then I did red squirrel last week, so, you know, all bets are off.
All right. Well,
Exactly.
so
So,
bearing that in mind, sperm whales are very interesting animals. They can grow up to 20.5 meters long, which is, you know, almost the length of a swimming pool. So
that's true.
it makes...
Now, have you been to the Natural History Museum?
I have a very long time
Do
ago.
you remember the massive whale that's there?
No. Is
No?
it a sperm whale?
Oh, that's what the question I was going to ask you,
Oh.
because I don't know. I
Well,
think it might be a
perhaps.
blue whale.
I imagine that... I think I've seen photos of the blue whale at the Natural
Is it a
History
blue
Museum.
whale?
I think they probably got a blue whale because it's more sort of renowned to be enormous.
Is it bigger than is the sperm whale bigger? I always thought
No,
sperm whale
no,
was
no.
the biggest.
The blue whale is the biggest animal, well,
that's a
biggest
shame.
known animal in the sea. Although, Moby Dick, of course, was a sperm whale, the famous whale that sunk ships, and that's based on a true story. And some accounts render Moby Dick as 26 meters long, which would make him colossal and actually bigger than the average blue whale.
I do always sort of doubt those sub accounts.
Yeah.
When was Moby Dick? What?
Quite a long time
Quite a
ago,
lot-
before they had accurate
Before they had
measurements of
meters.
assaulting whales.
Yeah, before they just used to run their ships at them.
Yeah.
So
All right.
sperm whale's big.
Yeah. On the subject of Moby Dick, though, sperm whales. The name sperm whale comes from the spermaceti, which is not actually anything to really do with sperm, but it's a waxy substance that surrounds their brain, and
okay.
the case that holds this substance
skull.
in. Spermaceti is sort of speculated to be something to keep their brain working, because it solidifies and I think keeps their brain warm when they make very deep dives.
Oh, okay.
But it's been suggested that the case that keeps this substance around the brain is what makes it possible for sperm whales to ram whaling ships as they do, because
They've got some protection.
I mean, it stops their brain from sort of being damaged by these assaults on
Yeah,
ships.
fair enough. All right.
Five times their weight sometimes.
Do they still do that now?
Well,
Metal ships?
I don't think whaling exists to such a great extent, and I don't think there have been many recent sperm whale assaults. But
okay.
and also Moby Dick, which was the most famous example of a whale wrecking. I think the whaling ship, the Essex, was whatever his actual length, a very big specimen.
Yeah.
The head can constitute up to a third of the length of this whale. That's 6 or 7 meters
So
of head.
Imagine if you mated a sloth and a sperm whale. Firstly, let's not get into the practicalities. Secondly, what would be in the last third? 1/3 head, 1/3 stomach.
It's 2/3 stomach. We've just
Oh,
got
yeah,
a head and
we
a
have-
stomach.
That's all you need. Well, if you're a sloth, that is genuinely all you need. I don't know how you'd consume your food, but whatever. We'll let them sort it out. We'll let nature sort that out.
That would be an interesting animal.
That'll be horrendous.
Probably wouldn't last for very long.
Mm.
The spermaceti also is unlike any other substance known to man in that it can act as a lubricant in the extraordinarily cold temperatures of outer space.
Really?
For which reason they use spermaceti for work on the Hubble telescope and the Mars rover.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That is. I do dread to think how they got that spermaceti, but
probably by killing
probably
a sperm
by getting
whale.
a sperm whale.
But-
But you know, we've got to go to space.
If I imagine if the Japanese are going to continue to whale them, which apparently they kill about 10 a year, then
it's
NASA,
more than
NASA
that,
could
so-
probably slip a $5 note into their pocket and say, "Can we use this?
Give us its head, or just its stuff that's in its head."
We've got some use for that on some extraordinarily high-tech software." They can dive to about 3,000 meters, which
That's
makes them
terrifyingly
the
deep.
deepest diving mammals, along with bottlenose whales. That may be the wrong word. No, that's the correct word. And bull seals, which is very surprising because they're
A
tiny.
big fat bull seal. Wait, are the bull seals big?
Well,
big?
bull seals are very big, but compared to a sperm whale, they're. I just don't know
That's
how
mad.
they're.
If you go on the Facebook website, there's actually a there's a video of a seal being attacked by some killer whales, which is quite interesting. I don't think it's a bull seal though, so it couldn't exactly just swim deep.
killer whales, or orcas, are the main predators of smaller sperm whales. Females don't grow up to anywhere near the size of adult males, and pods of females and young can be attacked by orcas, which can grow pretty big.
Orcas are terrifying.
Yeah, and
now if you watch Free Willy and you often think, I'd love to have a pet orca, don't. They're really big and scary, and they eat anything, and they coordinate their attacks. Watch the video.
Intelligent predators.
Yeah.
On the other hand, orcas in their pods are never going to attack a fully grown adult male sperm whale.
Could you tell me how a sperm whale would attack anything?
That's a good question, Luke, because although they are the largest toothed animal, as in they haven't got that weird mesh that blue whales and things have got, their teeth don't actually serve much purpose, apparently. Apparently they basically munch anything down with their jaws, or just swallow it whole, because they are colossal, quite big mouths.
Yeah.
There's a 7-metre head, which is
big enough.
Not inconsiderable. But they tend to prey on giant squid and colossal squid, which
I love the name colossal squid.
Can weigh up to half a ton, which is a bit disappointing. I sort of wish they weighed more than that.
It doesn't seem like a fair fight, does it? Yeah, that's it. We've done an article on sperm whale before, and it was them. No, just like a story of the sperm whale fighting a massive colossal squid, and they find massive squids in the stomachs of sperm whales.
Yeah, the beaks get stuck in their stomachs. Yeah. The idea of squids having beaks still perplexes me.
It still freaks me out.
Yeah, they eat these squid, and that's apparently basically just by munching them down using their jaws.
What's the difference between the jaws and the teeth?
Well, I think the teeth... I'm not entirely
you mean
sure.
They gum them down?
I think the teeth might sort of be a bit sort of deeper embedded in the mouth than human teeth certainly are. Yeah. I think it's sort of... They're not the first thing food comes into contact with.
Okay.
Sperm whales are also known to prey on megamouth sharks, which are deep sea sharks.
Megamouth sharks are weird.
Very large animals. They can grow up to 5.5 meters, which is obviously still nothing on a sperm whale, but for a shark, that's huge. And yeah, because they're both very deep sea animals, the sperm whale's down deep and he can't find any squid, and there's a weird shark with 1.5 meter mouth around.
Yeah, they just go and just eat everything, don't they?
I think there may be footage, or at least a report somewhere, of 3 male sperm whales either attacking or playing with a megamouth shark.
Oh my god, we need to find that video and put it on the Facebook page.
They do sometimes hunt in pod sperm whales.
That's a terrifying sight.
They usually sort of, I think, stick with their mothers for the first few years of their lives, and then they will tend to form a sort of pod of youths, sort of sperm whale gang, until they're about 21.
Gang.
Yeah, and sort of prowl around together, and then they become more solitary as they get older and bigger. They're only fully grown by the time they reach about 50 years of age.
How old do you know how old they get?
They can grow to. They can live to over 70 years old.
Really?
So
even without modern medicine.
Yeah.
Imagine if they had developed an NHS.
Admittedly, lobsters are still longer lived than sperm whales.
Nick's favourite topic.
Longevity
of the lobster.
I do love a good lobster. I believe I've got one other interesting fact. They've got the biggest brains of any animal, past or present. There has never been an animal with a bigger brain than a sperm whale. It can weigh up to 8 kilograms, which is actually quite a lot.
There must be... I know, because size doesn't mean anything in brains, does
and
it?
It's surrounded by jelly, like Homer's brain.
I love if that's where the Simpsons got the idea from.
They live in all the major oceans, and they live in the Mediterranean Sea, which you don't really associate them with. But next time you're on a cruise off Greece or Italy, look around, because there may be a giant whale surfacing.
About to smash into the side of your boat.
Yeah. I was quite worried when I heard that.
That's quite interesting. I didn't know they lived there.
And fishermen off the Gulf of Alaska, as my closing tale, have recently been complaining that sperm whales sometimes rob all the fish off their lines.
They follow the boats round?
Yeah, they say they don't have to bother hunting. They just go around and eat the fish off the lines.
That's glorious.
I say, good on them.
Yeah.
I'd much rather the sperm whales got hold of those fish.
Yeah, and me.
Although it forms a tiny part of their meal.
Yeah,
it's
that's probably like 5 fish.
Even though it would probably feed a whole village, the sperm whale is essentially eating a knick-knack every time he does it.
Furiously hungry after.
He has to go off and find a squid.
What is that? Or a megamouth shark.
Yeah.
So big, massive and freaky. All right. So that was the A to Z of animals, the sloth and the sperm whale. We're going to play a song, and then when we come back, we'll have some nature articles for you. Okay, so this is Beyonce with Countdown.
Email your requests. studios@radio.warwick.ac.uk.
I love Raw. Welcome back to the show. You heard the jingle. Go on the website and email into the studio. Let us know what you think. We've had a couple of emails in. One from Richard Wooding saying that he would like to know how much calamari one colossal squid would make. And the answer is a lot. There you go. Or one massive one.
Well, we got 500 kilograms.
500 kilos of, well, how much of that is beak? Probably not
right,
that
take
much.
off a kilogram for the
Take
beak.
off a
We've got
kilo.
499 kilograms of calamari.
And not all of calamari is the squid. Some of it's the fried bit. So, like 500 kilos of calamari.
It constitutes at least a 3-person meal at Cosmo.
Yeah. Let's not talk about what happened at Cosmo and overeating, Nick.
Let's not talk about that.
So yeah, go on the website, click on Contact the Studio, let us know what you think about the show or anything you've thought about it, or the Facebook page, The Nature Hour. Like it, please, or just look at our links, but ideally do both. Right, it's time for some nature articles. We'll try and, because we spent a long time talking about sperm whales and sloths, we'll try and hurry through these, sadly. Nick, do you want to go first?
All right then. My article is taken from the Independent website, and it's about how PETA, or that's PETA, which
has featured on the show before.
Yeah, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, want the 13th Amendment of the US Constitution re-understood to include animals. This is the one that...
Is it the one about carrying arms?
No, I think that's the Second Amendment.
I wish.
This is the amendment that outlaws slavery, and PETA want this extended to animals. It says in the article, this is quoting a PETA spokesman, "By any definition, these orcas are slaves, kidnapped from their homes, kept confined, denied everything that's natural to them, and forced to perform tricks for SeaWorld's profit. The males have their sperm collected, the females are artificially inseminated and forced to bear young, which are sometimes shipped away." So they essentially
sort of swayed very slightly by that run of things, but I also think it's an orca is stupid, isn't fully know what's going on.
Well, we did
earlier.
just say they were quite smart animals.
I mean, smart animals isn't the same as
sort of intelligent hunters rather than philosophers.
rather than deep thoughts about emancipation.
SeaWorld, the company they're trying to sue with this,
I imagine SeaWorld are pretty unethical anyway, but that's just a guess. Don't sue me.
Call the lawsuit baseless and in many ways offensive.
I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah, I imagine they don't really see much value in this and probably regard it as a waste of time and money.
Classic PETA.
Yeah.
No, they do a lot of good work, Peter, but I also often think they get a little bit...
Oh, is it Peter?
Peter, PETA, whatever.
Right.
They get a little bit angry about stuff that they probably shouldn't bother. There's stuff about the fur trade, yeah, fair enough. But could you say it's offensive to say that if I was... I'd
like to see PETA take the case up for sloths being kept in captivity.
Yeah. I mean, because it's the same, isn't it? If you're a sloth at a zoo, you'd be going, well, they've been taken out of their environment, and they've been forced to mate.
Forced to perform tricks.
Not good ones, admittedly, and they're occasionally cleaned.
Largely falling off the top rungs of their cage.
Into the water. We did iguanas here a few weeks ago, and iguanas, when they're startled, just fall in water. Because they live in trees above water, and when they're startled, they just fall out and plop into the water.
That's a good tactic.
It is, yeah. It's a bit weird, though.
Does it work for them? I imagine so.
Imagine if they can't swim.
Oh.
No, they can.
Yeah.
Of course they can.
Lizards,
yeah.
I don't know why I say that as if it implies they can swim.
Snakes can. Can you tell me a lizard that can't?
You imagine dropping a Komodo dragon in the sea?
It's sort of like an iguana.
Yeah,
they do live in the desert, admittedly. They probably haven't seen the sea.
I just imagine it would sink.
Yeah, probably. When I went to there's a butterfly farm in Stratford, if anyone wants to go to it. It's very fun. There's just thousands of butterflies everywhere. But also, in amongst the butterflies, there are Komodo dragons. Just cruising around.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. Yeah, that's
Stratford.
really cool, isn't it?
But also terrifying when you just see a big Komodo dragon just stood there, all staring at you.
They are really cool animals, Komodo dragons.
So yeah, Butterfly Farm in Stratford, definitely worth a visit.
Yeah.
Should we do my article, or have you got something to say? Sorry.
One last bombshell
All
is
right.
that the action being taken in America, there are also some people who find Petter's case insulting because they consider animals a lower order of species, as sort of ordained than humans, and this sort of stems from the same root as disbelieving in evolution in the first place. But the idea that animals should have rights is actually offensive to some people.
How dare you extend rights to animals?
So that's the closing line of rank stupidity.
There's just a whole selection of strange people on that article. Mine's a little bit more innocent.
All right then.
Nick. No,
Yes.
I was trying to come up with a joke, but I couldn't make it work. Basically, they found a drunk Swedish moose in a tree. Unfortunately, Nick's heard this story before, so he probably knows what I'm going to say.
Say it anyway.
Say
I
it
like
anyway.
this story. Tell me it again. One day it will make a bedtime story for children.
This headline: a severely drunken Swedish moose that apparently ate too many fermented apples became entangled in a tree and later collapsed. Glorious.
It's a wonderful story.
So the good news is that the moose survived its bad night out and was able to sleep off the natural cider buzz. What I like is that this is apparently quite common.
Oh yeah, they
It happens all the time.
Do they do it deliberately? I can't remember.
Well, possibly, because the article ends with Mr. Per Johansson, who found him in his garden, this colossal 1,500-pound moose in a tree. Yeah, they're big chaps.
That's heavier than a colossal squid.
Yeah. Wow, yeah.
Oh, that's disappointing.
That's weird. But I think colossal squids are like big, but full of air and ectoplasm. Like the ectoplasm is a word. So it was in his house, and the emergency services got the moose out of the tree. And he was asked to watch the animal cruise off. He saw it stand up and slowly leave with a cracking hangover. And although he suspects it's still lurking in the area, maybe hoping for another alcoholic sidekick after the moose's possible day-long bender. So they must love it.
Yeah.
He's gone out and said, "Guys, you won't believe what happened to me. Such a good night. I ate so many apples."
Did the walk of shame home, and all the other mooses laughed at him.
He thought he was an absolute king, though.
They all walked back and went, "Lad."
They found the elk stuck in an apple tree with only one leg on the ground. One left leg, one of his left legs. All the other three.
The fact that he got into a tree is the best part.
He was going to help
Imagine he wanted to see the view.
I need a rest. This tree will be comfortable. But its ferocious kicking meant Per Johansson couldn't get it out himself. So what he did was, he and the others, I don't know who the others were, did their best to comfort the moose. So he kept his hair out of his face.
Brought it some resolve,
Yeah,
which made it throw up everywhere. Oh, resolve is horrible.
As a different story, we haven't got enough time to go into it.
Right.
But the local fire department arrived next and came up with a clever solution. They bent the tree so the moose could just slide out. It couldn't move anymore because it was so hungover. It just slid out of the tree. There's a video which I'll link on the Facebook page, but I didn't. Here's the video of the moose collapsed on the ground with an absolutely colossal hangover, but still enjoying the best night of his life. Apparently, Johansson say we see elk stuffing their faces with apples around here, but this is the first time we found one perched in a tree.
Well, speaking of inebriated animals, I did hear a good fact from Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory the other day, which
Wonderful.
is that humans are not the only animals who collect fruit for the purpose of fermentation. I mean, mooses may exploit it, but apparently elephants sometimes pack fruit into their trunk to ferment it and then drink the resulting brew.
Glorious. Elephants are so cool. I don't think we even did it when we did ease. No, we did, because they have velvety feet.
Oh.
But we didn't know that they created their own fermented
They created
juice.
their own booze. You should pay more attention to Sheldon Cooper.
Yeah, well, clearly. Everyone should. What time is it? 39 minutes past. We'll play a song. So that was our two articles. Which will be Moose Tea, Is It 'Cause I'm Cool? And when we come back, we'll have mating and dating tips from the animal kingdom. Email into the studio any of your thoughts on stuff. We've had a couple already, but keep them coming in because they're really good. So when we come back, mating and dating.
Go to radio.warwick.ac.uk/listen.
This is Raw.
Welcome back to the Nature Hour. We've got 17 minutes left. We've got 2 articles to put in that and to get someone on the phone. So we're going to spin through the features. Go on the website, contact the studio, let us know what you think, or go on the Facebook page and just enjoy what the stuff we've put on there. Right. Should we do the next feature, Nick?
Let's take it away.
It's time for animal dating and mating tips from the animal kingdom. I said that wrong. Oh, yes. Let's do this. Nick didn't enjoy that as much as Arthur did last week, but it still makes me laugh so much.
I'm afraid you can't see facial expressions on the radio.
But it's a face of disgust, and my face is a face of joy. Let's go. Right, the adult horseshoe crab.
All right, then.
That's what my animal is.
I presume that was what you meant. Right.
Yeah, rather than just a statement. Oh, don't listen to Marvin Gaye. It makes me laugh too much. Right. So, if you want to be a bit romantic, Nick,
I'm listening.
you've got to set the mood. You've got to go to the beach at full moon at night time. That's what the male horseshoe crab does. So that does romantic stuff. It doesn't do that much romantic stuff after.
Does he not live on the beach?
No, it lives at... It sort of does. It goes from deeper water. It just goes to shallower water.
Comes out of the sea.
Yeah.
Right. In a James Bond style.
Yeah, but it's a male crab, so it's less
I'm
attractive.
sure it could pull it off.
I'm sure it could pull it off. Oh my god. Anyway, so in the full and late moons, the full moons of late May and early June on the beach of Delaware Bay, adult males arrive on the beach in late spring, a few weeks before the females, and begin patrolling the shore. When the females appear, that's right, they patrol.
That's a bit dodgy, really.
It's so dodgy.
I wouldn't like the sight of that.
When
I was seeing a group of ramping crabs
nearing towards the water. When the females arrive, they release into the water a pheromone, a natural attractant that acts as a sexual stimulant. Then they use their eyes to spot a potential mate. Glorious.
They use their eyes to spot a
compound eyes,
potential...
but I mean, what's the difference? And then once they found a mate, do you know what you do once you've found a mate, Nick?
Well, I've got some ideas, but enlighten me.
Enlighten you. You hook your specially modified second set of clawed appendages onto her, and she drags you onto the beach. And then, possibly, additional males will attach themselves to the male, and there'll be a big long chain of males, and she'll have to drag all of them to the beach as well.
Been there.
I hope you haven't. So the female drags the male to the water's edge. She uses her pusher legs to form a shallow nest between 4 and 6 inches deep, which is quite deep for a crab. Then deposits 5 to 7 clumps of 4,000 eggs. 20,000 eggs altogether.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a lot of...
That's a lot of crabs.
Yeah.
The attached male and any additional or satellite males that surrounding the spawning female move with her as she lays each clump of eggs. So she's got to carry these 5 or 6...
While laying eggs.
Whilst laying eggs.
I'm now picturing the whole thing with chickens and imagining how it would work.
Don't imagine it with chickens. It's estimated that less than 10 of these eggs will survive to adulthood.
Oh.
Of 20,000. Why isn't Peter getting involved on that?
Well, it's a good thing that usually I think people who are anti-abortion also don't believe animals are the equals of humans, because that would be an absolute fiasco.
It would.
They would frown upon those crabs with severe...
Can you spot a problem with what I've just told you?
No.
Many problems, but do you want to know what it is?
Go on.
I don't actually know where the thing happens. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure there's any
The
at all.
conception.
Oh, right. The female is dropping clumps of eggs, and is she dragging the males over it?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Well, they're just there watching.
Oh, well, there goes my theory.
Exactly.
I presume the males then go over to the eggs and fertilise them.
I think it's possibly, this is a guess, the clawed appendage. Or appendage, could that be...
A clawed appendage?
I know, it doesn't
I
sound
hope
great.
it couldn't be.
But I don't know when else it could be. They just move around with her. Maybe they're completely unnecessary.
The male's completely superfluous, so they're just an accident.
Well, according
of
to this
birth.
article, it can't possibly be true. But, so basically my tip is, go to the beach at full moon, come out of the water looking sexy, put some drugs in the water.
Wait, am I a female now?
No, you're anyone. It's male or female.
All right.
And then hook onto them and let them drag you around the beach. That's the tip.
All right then.
Use it, Nick.
I'll get on that next time I'm by the sea.
Right, Nick, hit us up
Right
with
then. This is a grizzly tale.
glorious. That's what we love on this feature.
This is about the mating habits of slugs. Pretty much any kind of slugs. Now, the first thing you need to know about slugs...
Keep
and
salt
their
well
mating
away from
habits.
them.
Well, in terms of their mating habit, yeah, that would also be a good one.
Don't bring salt into the bedroom.
All slugs are hermaphrodites. They keep their genitals under a flap behind their eyes.
This is mating and dating tips. Gold.
You know that smooth patch on top of all slugs. I mean, they're usually a bit crinkly, but then there's a sort of smooth bit on
I
the
don't
top.
look at them that much, but okay, there is.
All right then. Well, that is that's the kind of flap under which they keep their genitals and their anus.
Keep going.
Now, are you familiar? I'll wait a second before I get to that. Right, in mating, the slugs will crawl all over each other, and sometimes they will suspend themselves from a tendril of slime from a sort of tree or something, and wrap around each other in mid-air. Now, are you familiar with the word apophylation?
I'm gonna be, but I'm not as yet.
Right. Well, in apophylation, the penis of each individual curls like a corkscrew, and unfortunately is prone to becoming entangled in the genitalia of the other member of the team. Remember,
Put your breakfast down.
Remember, each slug has both male and female
Okay,
reproductive organs, and they fertilise one another simultaneously. The slugs then separate themselves by chewing one another's penises off. This is alright because they can actually still mate using only the female parts of their reproductive system, which makes you wonder why they apopholated in the first place. It's I think that's a quality word.
I mean, that's a quality fact as well. Slugs.
Bizarre
animals.
You won't want to go any closer to them than you already did.
I was going to say, Nick, can you try and apply that to the human world? But I don't want you to. No,
Good.
Don't, because you considered it then. I don't want to hear that. People at home, you can if you want. Apologise if you were offended by any of the
content.
Graphic images that we just proposed to you at, 10 to 11 on a Friday morning.
Well, I tell a story the way I tell a story.
Right, so we're going to play a song, and then when we come back, we'll have someone on the phone, and we'll play Articulate. Okay, this is Queen with...
12:51 a.m. is Blast Off.
Taking you into Rawbit.
Right, welcome back to the show. Sorry to crash the Bohemian Rhapsody, but
Believe me, you're not as sorry as I am.
Yeah, we sort of picked a really long song by mistake. We haven't got very long, so I'm going to try and bring someone on the phone onto the show. Izzy, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, we're in. She's on board. But
I'm here.
And you can hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Glorious. Right. We've got 4 minutes left, so we're going to go straight into Articulate. You've got 6 to beat. At home, all we've got to do is we've got some nature words in front of us, and we have to get Izzy to guess what the words are.
Right. Do we go one by one, or...?
Yeah, we take it... I haven't got Mission Impossible up, but that's not a problem. We'll start in 10 seconds. Do you want to go first for the first clue?
Sure.
All right. Izzy, you ready?
I'm born ready.
4, 3, 2, 1. Nick, go.
It's got a sting in its tail.
B. What?
No, it's an arachnid, shield arachnid, with a sting in its tail. It's got claws.
Oh, scorpion.
Yes.
If someone's marking your work and they're putting a cross or a...
Tick.
Yeah.
When I was a young wart.
Hog.
If it's like it's like a stout or like a rat, but like a long rat. It's like an insult.
Oh, oh, no.
Pass.
Another word for a donkey or someone's bum.
Ass.
A rattle.
Snake.
A big plant. Any big plant.
What?
Like it's...
Cactus?
No, like an oak, ash, elm.
Oh, tree.
Yeah.
They smell a lot. They spray smelly stuff at you.
Skunks.
It's... Oh, crap.
That's time, I'm afraid.
Oh, no.
Oh dear.
How many did I get?
How many did you get, Nick? I got skunk, snake, and tick.
Scorpion, warthog, ass, and tree.
Tree.
7.
Oh.
Takes the lead from my sister Vega, who got 6.
Sorry, I couldn't think what to do for blue bottle.
Mine was weasel, the one you didn't get.
Oh, I was going for ferret. I thought that's not an
yeah,
insult.
they're all the same. They're really like that.
Mm.
All right.
I was thinking of capybara.
Capybara. I don't know what that is.
Giant rodent.
Giant rodent, if only. Right. Thank you very much, Izzy. We've got to say goodbye. Did you enjoy time? Have you listened to the show?
Of course.
Have you enjoyed it?
Of course.
Wonderful. Good answer. All right. I'll speak to you soon.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
She might still be on air. Who knows? Right. Thank you very much for listening. We've got to draw a close because we've overrun spectacularly. We've got a random song from the playlist. It's called The King Blues. Future's Not What It Used to Be. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back next week. Nick, I'm afraid, won't be present, but he might be on the phone line.
That's right.
You'll be playing Articulate, hopefully, if he's not actually at university like he should have been. So have a good week.
Hopefully you'll listen.